Welcome back to the podcast, Heal Without Harm. My name is Dr. Clayton Dir, physical therapist and the one bringing you the truth about the medical system. Lately, it seems like the theme has been GLP-1s, weight loss, nutrition, and all the things. So I brought on yet another amazing nutrition coach to give us her opinion. At times, I will definitely take an opposing opinion, more just to challenge you and stoke the conversation.
Excellent.
I'm a firm believer this stuff is always nuanced. And so I will help try to figure out all the different nuances and push you a little bit. To intro who we are actually talking to, her name is Becky Hutchins. She is an MFCEO of this place that we're sitting in, CrossFit Level 1 certified, Precision Nutrition Level 1, and also has a Master's in Health and Human Performance, and is also a mother of 2.
Yep.
Becky, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Is there anything that we should not talk about today?
No, I'm an open book.
Deal. I'll challenge that as well. So anyway, I wanted to start, for the people who may not know and may be curious, you own and run Compelled Fitness, and then what all kind of falls under that umbrella here?
Oh my gosh. For me, so my title besides owner is general manager.
Okay.
So essentially any admin stuff that comes up, answering phone calls, messages, emails, social media, some scheduling, payroll, all of the taxes, all of that stuff. The
boring things.
Yes. So, I coach when needed, and then I'm our head nutrition coach.
So it used to be CrossFit Compelled, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So then, but now you guys rebranded to Compelled Fitness. You offer CrossFit classes. This gym is also 24-hour fitness available, nutrition coaching, personal training. What else could we throw under there?
Right now that's about it.
Okay.
So we rebranded to Compelled Fitness. We are still a CrossFit affiliate. But yeah, otherwise that's pretty much it.
Okay. How did you guys get started? Because I remember this place being an antique mall.
Yes.
And then I think it was like a red plywood, like CrossFit boot camp or something up on the front side.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, like the Flying Moose Antique Mall went away.
Yeah.
We don't need to go super in depth because I do want to get to the nutrition aspect, but what is that story of Antique Mall to where we are now?
Yeah, so we started the gym in 2013, and we were actually renting a space behind the Antique Mall. So same building, different space. And we were back there from 2013 until 2021. The owners of the Antique Mall were ready to retire. And instead of us trying to find a new place so they could offload this building, we said, why don't we just take over the whole thing? So we went from about 3,000 square feet to roughly 15,000 in 21. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's been great. And yeah, even since then, there's been a lot of changes. But essentially it's the same business. We have the same model and do the same stuff. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I want to get into CrossFit next, I believe, because when I tell people they should do CrossFit, because I can't stop talking about it because it's a lot of fun, they say, oh, I'm not ready for that. And my first thing is it's actually one of the most scalable fitness things, I feel like, which is what's so interesting. And so maybe what made you guys choose CrossFit back in 2013, it sounds like? And then what would you tell people to make them a little bit more comfortable with coming to a class or getting into CrossFit?
Sure. Yeah, so it's actually, I would say the CrossFit Games are one of the biggest reasons we started doing CrossFit. And we didn't join a gym. We just, Alan and Ryan kind of built their own little thing, got a few pieces of equipment, and we just would sometimes do the CrossFit main site or CrossFit.com workouts, or we'd make up our own. And it really grew from there, just friends and family. And I think that's kind of maybe what also keeps people from wanting to try it is things like the CrossFit Games. Obviously, those are the best of the best. So they're extremely fit and skilled when it comes to the harder movements. However, every single movement we do in here can be modified to fit any fitness level and any technical, limitations that people might have. If they're brand new to fitness or just these type of movements, we can change anything. We'll make it work. So I would guess somewhere between 70 to 80% of our members are altering our workouts on a daily basis in some way. So yeah, it's absolutely doable, and we get a lot of people saying I'm not in good enough shape to start CrossFit yet, so I want to get in shape before I start. But really, the best way to get in shape for CrossFit is to start doing it. And then you kind of obviously learn how the classes are run, learn what to expect, learn what your high intensity looks like, and kind of work on improving that no matter where you're starting from. But yeah, a lot of people think I got to be in better shape before I go in there. And that's kind of the hardest one to talk people out of, because really the best way to get in CrossFit shape, I'll put that in quotes, is to do CrossFit. So.
Like, I don't think I could agree more, because it's like, I remember at one point in time, somebody said, oh, I don't know if I want to do CrossFit, as they watch the CrossFit games. And it's like, that's like watching Tom Brady and then deciding not to go play catch with a football. It's
right.
Like, there's levels of this.
Sure.
And then also, the other thing too is when you can show up at a CrossFit gym specifically and you have to scale the workout significantly day one, that's a better before picture for what you may look like 6 months from now or a year from now. So you might as well get started. And it's kind of humorous if someone wants to get in shape before they come in, because that's like thinking you'll be able to run. It's like, I want to figure out how to be able to run 5 miles before I start training to run 5 miles. It's
right.
Like you have to just start running. You just have to start doing the thing. And if you want that to be the most expedited, speedy process, showing up day one is it.
Yeah, it's really, you just have to jump in. And I understand it can be intimidating. You walk into a CrossFit gym and there's, a rig, pull-up bars, barbells, a few machines, but it's not equipment you're used to walking into a gym and seeing, like a treadmill or, the free weights and just some other machines. So you look and you think, how am I going to do any of this? But, speaking for us, we have amazing coaches on staff, and they're all really, really good at adapting the workout to work for you. So even if you're doing different movements, you're going to get the same stimulus of the workout, as intended. It just might look a little different, and that's totally normal.
Do you have any specific members in mind that came in either overweight, now they're fit, they came in and they couldn't even like do one squat, and now they're significantly farther ahead? Is there anybody that comes to mind?
Not off the top of my head. I'm sure I could think of quite a few. We do have a lot of like former athletes come in who are still in great shape and, strong, and they might be surprised by how tough CrossFit is. But yeah, over the years, there's been so many members that come in and are intimidated or scared and end up staying. Caitlin Welch is one that I think of off the top of my head. She came in on her own, which is kind of rare. Mm-hmm. She didn't know anybody here. Usually someone brings a friend, and that's kind of how they get started. So, and I remember her telling a story of sitting in the parking lot and just saying like, I'm not going to do it. She did, and she's been here since then. It's probably been, 2019, maybe 2020 when she first joined. So, but there's lots of stories like that. I think that the way that CrossFit works with relative intensity, it is easily doable no matter where you start, but you also tend to see results relatively quickly. Mm-hmm. So things that might have been hard the first time you do it, the next time you see that movement, it's a little bit easier. And that can be related to all the other movements you've done in between. You get more confident, more comfortable. Obviously, practice with a lot of this stuff helps. So yeah, there's probably hundreds of members. Thinking of anybody specifically right now, I can't, but
no worries.
Yeah.
I totally get it though. When you measure more than just one thing, you end up seeing progress all over the place. For an example, I know when I first started training, I could lift pretty decent weight, but I would get destroyed by anybody in the class in regards of like Metcons or speed, or I would burn out after the second round, and we're supposed to do 5 rounds. Mm-hmm. I've gotten significantly better at that. Now I feel like I finish maybe mid-pack. Yeah. In regards of the fast timed workouts. When I first came in, I couldn't do a single double under. Now I can routinely do 10 to 20, and that took a long time to get. I couldn't do any handstand walks. I know on the 12 Days of Christmas workout, I was able to achieve 30 feet of handstand walking.
Nice.
Which was super awesome. I just PR'd my overhead squat a couple weeks ago. And so it's fun because it's kind of like all over the charts, like these things that I'm hitting, but it's also interesting too, because I've been doing it now for 3-4 years. Mm-hmm. And I remember when I first got started, I would like to think that I'd be able to beat certain people based off what they look like.
Right.
And they destroy me in the workouts. And then I'll be like, how long have you been doing this? I'm like, 9 years. I'm like, okay, I should get destroyed by you, right? Because the amount of experience and the amount that they've trained for it. And so it's really fun too. And I remember still the reason I kept coming back was much more the people in the class than anything else, mm-hmm. Which is what's really fun is you guys have built a really good culture of support, and everybody truly is happy and supportive and watching others succeed in the workout after the workout.
For sure.
And checking in. And so sometimes when I go a week without working out specifically here, I'm like, oh, let me see my friends kind of thing. And so it's been really fun.
Yeah, it's nice to, most of the people, we have some members that have been here since the day we opened, still a handful of those sticking around, but for the most part, they know what it was like their first day or their first week, first month even. So they are super welcoming and accommodating and helpful. Even to us coaches, it's nice to see a member take someone and be like, here's where the barbells are, or, you can put that back over there, stuff like that. So, the members have, our culture here was created organically, and there's plenty of opportunities over the last 12 years for that to have morphed into something else, and they haven't let it. So, big props to them because...
For sure. Let's get into the nutrition. Okay. As I was typing out this outline, I couldn't help but just wonder, like, why is this so hard? I jokingly said to myself, like, isn't eating something we've just always done as humans? Like, why do we need someone like yourself to have their only job is to, like, not only job, but like one of the main jobs, like, here's how you eat better. Like, what do you see as like the biggest challenge that we all are trying to overcome right now?
Well, there's a little bit of, I would say most people in general have a knowledge gap when it comes to knowing, what should I actually be eating? Now, that's not to say if I was to put, a really healthy chicken salad and a cheeseburger in front of a 5-year-old, they're going to probably know which one is healthier just because salad versus cheeseburger. But, knowing how much of whatever I should be eating, a lot of people just have no idea where to start with that. I think the other thing is our food environment is incredibly accommodating to overconsumption.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And I think the stat is, I might get it a little bit wrong, but I want to say since the 70s or 80s, the average American has increased their daily calorie intake by 500 calories. So you can kind of look at when, people having obesity became more of a crisis, and it started around that same time. And I think that if you had somebody who is an average healthy person maintaining their weight and you add 500 calories a day to anybody, it's going to lead to weight gain. So, you combine that with, foods becoming more processed, readily available, cheaper, along with, so many other, it's a multifaceted, obesity is a multifaceted issue, and so is the food environment. There's no one single thing that you can point out and be like, oh, there it is. Let's just fix that one thing and we'll be good. And it's kind of like a monster that's just, snowballed, and it's getting worse, not better. So
one thing you said that I want to stay like right on these things that I know people are probably thinking. Is it calories or is it ingredients? Because we see these like photos that get passed around on social media that is like McDonald's French fries. It's like potatoes and tallow and salt. Nowadays and then it's like this huge list of ingredients.
Oh yeah.
And I think it seems like a lot of people are ready to blame all of these ingredients that you can't pronounce as opposed to like the calories consumed.
Mm-hmm.
And so what are your thoughts on that?
I think it depends. It's nuanced, as you said. Mm-hmm. So if we're talking about weight loss, strictly weight loss or gain for that matter, calories in versus calories out is what's most important. Mm-hmm. And depending on, the degree of which, if you need to lose quite a bit of weight, then at least for a little bit, it's not going to matter how you do that. I know, have you heard of the K-State professor that did the Twinkie diet?
Yes.
Okay.
And I love it.
Yeah. So obviously Twinkies have very little, if any, health promoting quality. Mm-hmm. But he just ate this type of food and lost.
Was it just Twinkies or was it processed?
I want to say
like Twinkies and Doritos.
It was more than Twinkies. I'd have to go back and look. It's been a while since I've read anything about him, but I know he lost a decent amount of weight and his
metabolic numbers got better.
His metabolic numbers got better just because he had enough, body fat that it was harming him in a way that even eating these less optimal, we'll call it, foods, by just losing weight, he was able to increase, his health.
His metabolic numbers. Now, is there still potentially damage going on? Of course, but just bringing the weight to the correct number to where he had appropriate amount of levels of body fat served him greater than the actual food he was putting in his mouth.
Right. So if we were to treat it as like a triage scenario and you say, hey, you really need to lose some weight, let's get you to a healthier weight and then we'll focus on food quality, I would be okay with that. And now if it's somebody who wants to lose 5% of their body weight, then maybe we should probably start working on, okay, let's look at the foods that are health promoting and that you can consistently sustain this loss that we're hoping to get. But yeah, so it's nuanced. I think if we're just talking about weight loss, then it's calories are going to be most important. Ideally, you get your calories with these, lean meats, proteins, a variety of fruits and vegetables, some whole grains, and that's ideal. But again, back to the triage thing, if we need to lose a bunch of weight first and then focus on health, I generally am okay with that.
So do you feel like we're, at least the leaders of our country currently, pushing for changing like food dyes and things like that? Do you feel like that's on the right path? Do you feel like that's going in the wrong direction? Do you feel like it's missing the mark some? What are your thoughts there?
I don't think it's necessarily the wrong path. I think that, it is confusing going back to just some people having no knowledge of like, what should I be eating? What should I be avoiding? And knowing that a large percentage of the American population is overweight or obese. I think that this is missing the forest for the trees.
Yes.
So, worrying so much about being able to pronounce ingredients or staying away from dyes, I think that that's fine, but first let's address, why are we over-consuming these processed foods? Why are we eating more at each meal? Why are we snacking more? Why is this a problem for such a high percentage of our population? Changing what color candy isn't going to, it's not going to change that.
Yeah.
Unless in some way it motivated people to pay more attention to their health. I can see that, but otherwise I think that there's probably some other things we could focus on first.
For sure. They also changed the food pyramid.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that?
It's not that, to me, it's not that different.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really interesting how they arrange the new pyramid. And then if you read the guidelines, they don't necessarily match the way the pyramid looks. I don't know if you looked into that at all, but
that detailed, no.
So it's kind of propaganda-ish to me.
Mm.
And the other thing that kind of I chuckle about is, I can't remember what year we abandoned the food pyramid and went to the MyPlate system.
Yeah.
It was like early 2000s, maybe 2010-ish.
I remember the shift. I do remember it. And I was born in 93. I started having memories in 98, 99. So yeah, it had to be around the 2000s.
Yeah. So I was, elementary school, we learned the food pyramid and all that. And then obviously I don't remember learning about MyPlate. So I was in my graduate program.
Okay.
With that said, most people didn't realize we switched from the food pyramid to MyPlate, and now we're back to the food pyramid. So to think that the food pyramid has that big of influence on the way people ate is kind of silly.
The greatest argument I heard for you in this instance of it's kind of silly that we're shifting this is there was a doctor or somebody on social media that said, okay, why are we getting so mad at this? If we thought this worked, or if we thought this was the influence, then why don't we look at the exercise guidelines that have been on a guideline for I don't know how long?
Yeah.
And how many people are meeting that? And I was like, that's a good point, because it's 150 minutes of moderate exercise per week or 75 minutes of vigorous.
Yep.
And it's like, good point. It's like the PSAs and the guidelines being out there are great, but whether or not people following them are something completely different.
Right.
And what I find, this is my perspective on it, is it's very easy, and it's not even easy. It's almost like satisfying to blame the ingredients of the foods, because then it's not my fault. And I think that's where we start kind of going into the actual problem is, oh, well, I used to eat French fries and not be fat. Now I eat French fries and I'm fat. So it must be the French fries. And it's like, or maybe it's been time, like you've been eating for 10 years, or you're over consuming them more. Now you're buying largest instead of small. It's like, what else are you eating or not eating?
Right.
And we kind of go into that. And so this is where I'd like to ask you, have you seen Jelly Roll's journey of weight loss?
I haven't followed it closely.
Okay.
Social media posts. I've not read. I've not clicked on any of them. I've seen headlines. Obviously, he's lost a couple hundred pounds.
I think he's nearing 300.
Wow.
And if and when he gets the skin removal, he'll be at 300.
Sure.
I think his doctor estimated somewhere between 30 and 60 pounds of skin that he'll have to get removed. So ever since I listened to him on the podcast with Joe Rogan, I've brought this up probably to every other patient. And I'm like, this is so inspiring. And when I was bringing it up to my friends, I would say over 70% of them were like, oh yeah, he took the shot, right? And I was like, no, he didn't. He got offered it at the beginning at some point in time, and he has some friends, and his friends said like, yeah, we lost weight, but our stomachs are just like not doing well. A lot of stomach issues. He's like, okay, well, I don't want any part of that. And he's continued with his weight loss. He started at 520, 540. He's down, I think, either near 300 or just under 300 at this point. And he's done it all over the last 2 or 3 years, and he's done it all with diet, exercise. And then I think the biggest piece of it is counseling, whether it be food specifically or him just fixing his demons from the past. Because, he was arrested and went to jail, I think, in his teens or early 20s, had a daughter around that time, and was like, I need to do something better with my life. Came out, started getting into music, and then was like, I need to be healthy. Yeah. And now he runs with Cameron Haynes and hunts and all this stuff. And it seems that the demons that he was once fighting and essentially numbing with food, he has now switched that to fitness and is pouring himself into something else.
Yeah.
And so with that being his story, honestly, just what are your thoughts?
No, I think that's obviously incredible. An incredible transformation. Again, going back to just how much healthier you get when you lose, when someone who's carrying around that much adipose tissue, I imagine he's added decades to his life. So
easily. One of his phrases was, I don't know anybody over 400 or 500 pounds that has made it past 40 years old.
Yeah.
And that was like one of his motivating factors. He's like, I don't know any 400 pound 40-year-olds.
No, I think obviously what he did is incredibly difficult. And if it were easy, then we wouldn't have so many people in a similar position to his. And it is doable. That he's not the first to do it.
Of course not.
And he won't be the last. I think that it shows. Obviously, it's taken him a couple of years, and for a lot of people to make that drastic of a change is easy for a little bit, and then it gets harder to fall back.
I can shave off 40 pounds in 3 months.
Yeah.
Call it a win and then go on. So I think too, when I was, listening to his journey, it's like he had to have not only a motivating factor to get started, but something to continue sustaining, pushing him through. And one of the things he talked about was when he took all the food out of his pantry, because it was all like readily available, high calorie, non-satisfying food, or non-satiating food, sorry. Every time he would show back up at the pantry, he noticed like, why do I keep coming here? He would notice that his behaviors would just take him to the pantry, whether it was he got upset, he got stressed, he was bored, whatever it may be. And that's when he would have all these mini interventions of him deciding to choose food, which would essentially give him some dopamine and like make him feel, we'll say, less bad.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Clayton. Quick mid-show favor. If this episode's got you nodding along or saying, that's interesting, do me a solid. Leave me a review or send it to that one friend who needs to hear it. You'll make my day and maybe save them from another bad doctor's visit. Thank you. Let's get back to the episode.
So what has your experience as a nutrition coach been with almost giving people, not legit like therapy, but having more behavior type conversations than knowledge and food education type conversations?
Yeah, the talking to people about food, like, this is how many calories are in a gram of protein, and this is how many calories are in, that is easy. And most people understand that after hearing it 1 or 2 times. Behavior change is very difficult. And I think that, whether we're talking diet or exercise, it's psychosocial, right? So you have biological things that pop up, psychological and social aspects. So for a lot of people, the way you were raised, whether it's a cultural thing or just the way your family, got together, it was around food. Or the way you meet up with friends, maybe it's around happy hour, drinks, psychological, that hit of dopamine you get from, whatever, Snickers bar, it's real. And, you feel that, it's easy to open that, take a bite and be like, yes,
and
this is delicious.
300 calories that you can eat relatively quickly.
Yeah. And then the biology is, I think, where we're still learning exactly what all of the biological, I guess, whether it's genetic, the processes, we're still learning that some of that is just biological, and you can fight it. Whether Jelly Roll had biological things that helped him get to the weight that he was, or if it was psychological, social, whatever, but it makes it much harder. And I think the most. I don't want to quote a percentage because I'm going to get it wrong, but a lot of people lose weight and regain it. I think a very few number of diets are successful, especially not the first time. Going back to like the GLP-1s, I want to say the number is like 8. Most people, before they start a weight loss medication, have tried 8 diets unsuccessfully. Mm-hmm. Whether that's they weren't able to lose at all or they lost it and gained it back. So I think it's important to know that most people, when they start these drugs, it's not the first thing where they're like, I need to lose weight, I'll just do that. They've tried other things too. For whatever reason, it didn't stick. So
with that though, I just feel like 2 things. One, if we go back to like the 70s, 80s, 60s, whenever that took place where people started becoming more overweight, if our human bodies biologically are relatively the same as we were 70 years ago, mm-hmm. then we would have to, like, the question that's going to be asked and the answer that has to be there is, what changed? Because they say like obesity used to be very prevalent and now it is. So it's like people are just genetically different now. Like I would be willing to bet.
Yeah.
And if so, then we made natural selection and genetic, morphine very fast.
Very fast, yeah.
So there has to be a change, whether it's how we move or how we eat.
Yeah.
So far, would you agree?
Yeah, I think it's both.
Okay. And so we agree on that. And then the second piece that I want to go on is people have tried 7 or 8 diets. Now, I've never been significantly overweight. My mom raised us with, she cooked almost every night. We would usually have those 3, that divided plate, right? Yeah. So it was like some sort of meat, pork chops, steak, hamburger, chicken, something. Mm-hmm. And then there was 2 sides, usually peas, green beans, or carrots in one, and then like mashed potatoes or a starch in the other. And like, I know that's how I build my food now. And then as I've gotten into like macros and things like that, I'm like, well, maybe not everything has to be like this like 3-item plate. I can do some other stuff, especially if I'm trying to lose weight. But I've learned that like, wow, I my brain always goes back to there. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a huge culture piece in it, whether it's like kitchen culture inside your own home, or what your friends do, whatever that may be. And so I think that's what we always default back to. And so this would be my proposition on to why diets don't work for people is they try something, they get the weight loss, and then it's hard to like move into this new identity or move into this new lifestyle. So they just go back to the old lifestyle. And I would say sometimes it's because they're living on a diet in the sense of like in the negative connotation. Mm-hmm. I've went keto, I've went carnivore, I've went blank, 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 blank.
Yeah.
As opposed to I'm going to start living my life this way. Mm-hmm. And so I don't feel like usually diets fail or people fail. It's you have to shift your identity. I think that's what Jelly Roll so far has done.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why you have this in and out and this like quote failure, and then you gain the weight back. It's like you've just went back to who you were beforehand.
Yeah.
Have you been successful with at least some clients on like getting to move into a new identity and like sustain that new lifestyle? And if so, what have been some things that you've found that really help push that forward?
Sure. No, I've had experience with both. People who have been very successful working with me, and they stop working with me and gain weight back. And then, the alternate where you more or less teach them and get them started, and then they go off and they are able to keep doing what you told them. Mm-hmm. I would hate to assume the reasoning for either one. But what's crazy to me is, and it's unfortunate, there is a stigma associated with being overweight. And as a person who was overweight and now is at normal body weight BMI, I've felt that. And like, I think that having a smaller body doesn't make you any more valuable to society. It doesn't make you a better person. It really doesn't change you at all other than the way you look. But you are treated differently. And you also, you put in effort to lose weight, to change your lifestyle, at least to get to whatever your goal is. You get a lot of accolades for that. You get a lot of attention. People want to know, what are you doing? You look great. All these comments that, people will comment on others' bodies. And that is also a dopamine hit.
Yeah.
I can tell you for sure when you are working hard and you get that, like, that feels good. People are noticing my hard work.
Mhm.
It feels good. So I think that some people who lose weight and they start getting that attention, whether right or wrong, it's curious to me how easy it still is to fall back into old habits, old behaviors, and gain the weight back when, that's one sort of dopamine hit, if that's what we're going with. And here's the other one. This one comes along with better health, more longevity, probably better physical fitness. So I think that to say like, yeah, they got here and then they chose, nah, I want to do that again. I don't think anybody really wants to be like, no, I liked it better, when I was 100 pounds heavier.
Mhm.
So I think it's just multifactorial. I don't think you can say, and obviously, just like fitness, some people love CrossFit, some people hate it. Some people love powerlifting, some people hate it. Some people love running, some people hate it. So
and I've fluctuated on all those.
Yeah.
Like I'm starting to like running more because I've gotten better at it and I feel the effects and all this kind of stuff. But I used to hate it.
yeah,
I used to love working out on my own. Now I hate it. And
Yep.
I've literally liked one, stopped liking it, and then liked another.
right.
So I'm with you there.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that, is it 100% biological? No. Is it more biological for some people than others? Yes. And you've heard of food noise. It's kind of
noise.
yeah.
Yeah.
So some people don't have that.
Which is wild to me. And this is where I want to let you keep going if you want, but there's a huge piece on this I would like to talk about.
No, I was just gonna like, I'm the same way. Like, I have 3 meals a day, but I'm eating between meals.
Mhm.
I'm always like, okay, this is my snack after breakfast.
yes.
This is my snack after lunch. And like my husband, he can eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner and be good.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I don't understand how you're not thinking, how are you not hungry? And I don't even know if I'm hungry or if it's just like, this is my routine. So I know 10 o'clock snack, here it is.
Yeah.
But, I think that some people are better at ignoring it or fighting it even, and others can't. I know that some people can eat a big meal and still not feel satiated. And so I think there's a lot more than, one reason or another why. I think you go back to the food environment too. You mentioned, and our physical activity has drastically changed since those decades. And whether that be industry means, a lot of us sit for work all day versus being on our feet. You look at the ultra processed foods, they're affordable, they're accessible, they're getting more accessible. We don't even have to leave our houses now to have, Chili's for dinner.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's all kind of this snowball effect. It's making it easier for us to be less active and overeat more.
I feel like when it comes to like food noise, like you're talking about, I am thinking about my next meal while I'm halfway through the one I'm currently eating. And I think the main reason that I've never gotten significantly overweight is, one, I have a wife who helps me stay very accountable, which is positive. But two, I think there's a lot of identity that I have of like, no, I'm a fit, like muscular, good-looking guy with my shirt off. Like that is something that I always want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time I always have been. And so it's like when I start to gain weight or I know, oh, I'm probably overeating, it's pulling me away from the identity that I've always been and I always want to be.
Yeah.
And I think that's the exact same reason a lot of people are overweight, but backwards is, no, I'm just that fat guy or I'm that fat girl.
Sure.
Like that's me. Like, and it feels effortless at that point because I think it's been like consistently like proven that that's who you are.
Yeah.
There's quotes there.
Right.
And so you feel all of this effort going in with positive dopamine hits and rewards and stuff, but it's like, goodness gracious, like every day I wake up and I'm draining all my willpower to keep this going. And I think people don't identify as the person they're trying to become.
Mm-hmm.
They're stuck in their old identity. I think this is one of the pieces.
Yeah.
Just like I use the same thing, but I use it in my favor of keeping me how I've always been, which is generally more fit. And I think at some point in time you burn out and you're like, I can't keep this facade up. Even if you are like 300 down to 180 pounds, it feels exhausting. And that's where I think it's easy just to like essentially give in.
Mm-hmm.
And as I talk about all this, the people who I've encountered in life, I feel like tell a very similar story when it comes to addiction. And whether it be addicted to alcohol, gambling, true like illicit drugs, things like that.
Yeah.
They've adopted a lifestyle that uses something like that. And what sucks for them, or even like cigarettes or marijuana, like what sucks for them, and this is where it's like I feel like I'm a recovering addict with never have been addicted, because it's like I resonate so much with their stories. It's like the second you live your life with that as a crutch or a fix or a, not vendetta, there's a word for it, vice, the rest of your life, if you choose otherwise, feels absent. And I think that's what becomes so challenging, is it just takes one like bad day of eating to throw all of it away.
Yeah.
And that sometimes I feel like that temptation sometimes is just too hard to overcome.
Sure.
Especially if you don't have a support system.
Yeah.
Whether it be family, friends, the environment. I know even just when we moved houses, like the environment in which our stuff is set up and where our pantry is and where our food is, like made it slightly easier to not overeat. Like I just like these little cues of where I would go grab food, where I would sit, and like I'm really going on a tangent here, but even I still remember when we had my first daughter, she's 4.5 currently. Every night when she would go to bed, like everything was so stressful, right? Because like you're not sleeping and you have no idea what the hell you're doing and all of this stuff. And for some reason, I got on this fix of just buttered noodles. Like I would just make angel hair pasta, throw some butter and milk in there, salt, pepper, and it was so good.
Yeah.
And I started looking forward to that like every night. Like just got to get her to bed so I can go make my pasta.
Yeah.
And it
Get
was
my
this huge
noodles.
dopamine hit. And then it became this routine. And I can still remember sitting there with the pot like on the couch and I'm watch my show and like this is my little happiness the day before I go to bed. And I don't even have that itch anymore, because it's like, first of all, like she's older, it's like stress is different, yada yada. But I try to observe all of these things, and I observe how much I am a product of the environment and the routine that I'm in. And so if you don't adopt that new identity and break into that new routine and say, cool, this is me now, I feel like you just fall back to where you were.
Yeah, well, that's, they always say if you don't buy this food, you won't have it in your house, and you won't, when you go look for that snack, it's not an option. You'll have, and then you see, like the memes where they're like, I shopped as a healthy person and now I want a snack as the person I really am.
Yes.
So yeah, no, I think that you do have to set up your environment as best you can to be successful in whatever your goal is. So even the same for the gym. We've had people join who live in Rose Hill or Bel Air or wherever.
Which,
and I'm
for people who are not in Wichita, that's 30, 40, 45 minutes
yeah,
away.
kind of the opposite side of town. So, and I'm just like, why are you doing this to yourself? You're setting yourself up to fail. For the most part, people don't need a lot of resistance to decide not to come to the gym. And it's the same way. If you keep buying the Oreos and you can't eat less than 10 of them, then you really are setting yourself up, at least in that aspect of dieting, to fail. So yeah, there's lots of I guess behavior modification that can help. And then it comes down to sustainability. Like you mentioned, the paleo diet or the keto diet, carnivore. Like realistically, is that how you want to eat the rest of your life? And if the answer is yes, then okay, you might be able to sustain whatever you accomplish with that. But if you're like, nah, I'm just going to do it for 6 months and then I'll go back, and you're not learning how to eat the foods.
There's no permanent change.
Yeah, you need to learn how to, not only enjoy some foods. It can't be ground chicken and peas or whatever for life, but you can teach yourself how to make the foods you enjoy work with foods that are more health promoting.
Yeah, for sure. I know one life hack that can be for people is, I know that I get excited to go to the grocery store to pick up one thing, because I would traditionally grab like a small can of Pringles and I would tell myself, oh, it's just a couple hundred calories. It's like, no, you bought the whole bag. And then you'll be like, well, I don't want to waste this. And so you're probably gonna eat the whole thing in the next 2 days.
Yeah.
And if you really add that up, that's 9 times 160 calories. That's like 1,000 calories in the next 2 days that you never needed in the first place. And so what my wife and I have done for now 10 years is we do all of our grocery shopping online and then we go pick it up. And so then when we scroll through, we're just buying foods that we've always bought, and we're not window shopping when we're hungry. Because I'll tell you what, if I have to go down the chip aisle to get beef jerky, because the beef jerky is what I actually want, I will probably stop and grab some chips. Or I'll see the chips, I'll see another thing of chips, and then I'll buy the little one on the way out.
Right.
And I think that's where you said, people on average eat 500 calories more per day, which is 3,500 a week, which is a day and a half of eating extra per week. You add that up over a year. I'm pretty sure the average American gains 5 to 10 pounds per year.
Yeah.
So you go from 20 to 40 and now you're 40, 60 pounds overweight. And that's how it all kind of unfolds. And so, like you said, set yourself up for success. Or if you want to be more pessimistic, set yourself up to not fail.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is for me personally. In the last 6 weeks, I've been going through some weight loss. I've down 15, 16 pounds. And what I've found and what I'm trying to take away from doing this is what I'm doing can I sustain? Because right now I'm working out 7 to 10 times a week, eating 1,800 to 2,000 calories. This is where it also goes back to, am I hungry or do I want to eat? Lately, I've been legit hungry.
Yeah.
I can tell that I'm hungry, but that's the cost of what I want to do right now, which is weight loss.
Right.
So I think that's appropriate currently. But as I come out of this, I'm like, what can I learn from this essentially challenge that can be sustainable? And what I've found is I've optimized my breakfast and lunch every day throughout the week, Monday through Friday. I can splurge at dinner time.
Yeah.
And then on the weekend is where it gets more challenging with where I am now. And then you just start to observe the amount of birthday parties, dates,
Super Bowls,
events, holidays. Like there's something at least once a month, if not more.
Yeah.
And if it's once or twice a month that you indulge in 500 to 1,000 calories, it's like that does make it really challenging ultimately. And so I'm curious, do you have any like quick hacks or not, I don't want to call them hacks, but strategies to kind of go around all of these events that pop up?
I think where my clients have had the best luck with stuff like this is to plan ahead.
Okay.
So you were saying you're eating 1,800, 2,000 calories a day.
Ish. Right
so let's say the Super Bowl's coming up. So maybe Tuesday through Friday or Saturday, I guess, since Super Bowl Sunday, you cut out another 100, 150 calories. So then you've banked, however many, another 850 calories or whatever to have on Sunday, knowing that there's going to be tempting food that's delicious and I'm going to want it. So I gave myself a cushion and I can have this and still on kind of the weekly macro level stayed within my calorie budget. Obviously you can choose, the Super Bowl party I was at did not have like a fruit and vegetable tray, but some of them do. So you can fill up on the higher fiber foods first, and then maybe feel a little more satiated so you don't, pick the cookies or don't eat as many.
I would also say you can also be that person.
You can.
That brings the fruit or the veggie tray.
Or that eats beforehand and kind of abstains while you're there. That's always an option.
Yeah.
And
I would also say it's been interesting. So we're doing the 75 soft right now, which is like a little stepbrother to 75 hard. And there's a lot more people that have joined and done it with us than I expected. And so sometimes I do think there's benefits to doing these little challenges to like make it all fun for everybody to kind of join in. Again, it's kind of perspective. Are you doing this to drop 10 pounds and then gain it back by summertime?
Right.
Or are you doing this to have support and then saying like, what can we do moving forward? And I've found an interesting observation that I don't eat out at all right now.
Yeah.
Which has been crazy because me choosing to live a healthier life right now, my bank account sees a difference. Even though I'm buying $2 to $2.50 to $250 cost of protein bars for breakfast every day, which like that's kind of expensive for a bar is what I used to think. But now it's like, yeah, but me buying that and also buying all this stuff at the grocery store to meal prep throughout the week makes me not spend $12 at Chipotle or $20 on DoorDash.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy how when you actually go ahead and let that play out, your bank account sees the difference.
You're now the dad that says, no, we have food at home.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. But what I was thinking is that this is where I think everybody should be a parent because it's so beneficial because you start to really see how your actions have consequences. And it's so nice because our 4-year-old eats like carrots or celery or snacks on like all of these good foods. And she's like, I love peas and green beans. Like they're so tasty. And she's like, can we have steak tomorrow night for dinner? It's like, this is cool because I can mold this little healthy child by just only really exposing her to healthy foods.
Yeah.
And then we choose to have like Oreos or ice cream or whatever it is as a treat. And even now I make protein ice cream on the Ninja Creamy. 250 calories, tons of protein. And like, if it's just by myself, I'll eat like half a pint because it's actually very satiating.
Right.
But her and I will eat it. And there was one like 3 days in a row where we were making it. And she's like, we have ice cream again. I'm like, we should probably cut back. Like, we need to like cut this back a little bit. And I was like, let's do every Sunday night is ice cream night.
Yeah.
And so Super Bowl Sunday, I was like, Elena, what day is it? She's like, Sunday. I'm like, and she's like, ice cream. And so we got to make ice cream.
Yeah.
And so that's what else I found is like, okay, cool. Here's this thing that we've got going. How do I make a system to not have to think about it, not have to muster up willpower ultimately to go against this and just eat a ton of food ultimately.
Yeah.
So we're talking about all these different strategies that we've had to employ for ourselves or for others, or you helped people instill. And this used to be the only conversation we would have. But in the last couple of years, GLP-1s have came on the market, and it seems like people don't need to come up with strategies anymore. People can just take a shot. At least that's the perspective that I think a lot of us have.
Yeah.
And so what has this shift been like for you, the coach? What have the conversations been like? And then what have your clients been doing differently?
Yeah. So I've worked with people who have been on either like Ozempic or the tirzepatide. Yeah. So
semaglutide, whatever it is.
It doesn't really change much as far as the coaching goes. And it definitely makes them easier. It makes it easier for them to stick to the plan, whatever that may be. But yeah, you assuming they're exercising, you really want to focus on getting enough protein because they are extremely effective at suppressing appetite. And what I've heard from my clients, proteins, whether that be chicken, fish, lean beef, does not sound good, even though they know they need to be eating it. And a lot of times they just can't eat enough. So knowing that they're in a calorie deficit and they're not getting enough protein, especially if they're not working out, that's where you kind of run into some problems eventually. I would still say if we were in, let's say, Jelly Roll, somebody who weighs 500 pounds and you're trying to get them to 250, a healthier weight, I think that the weight loss is going to be most important at first. Let's still focus on getting in your protein and enough calories. But the weight loss is kind of that number one. And they're extremely effective at that.
So do you feel like, how do I ask this? Do you feel like these are more helpful long term, or do you feel like this shifts the conversation in a more like negative light where, how do I want to ask this? In general, do you feel like these are helpful for the market? We'll just put it that way, and then we'll go on from there.
For
like the people who need it, like, is it going to create more solutions than problems?
Yes. I think they, we got up to 70% of America was overweight, and that number's come down. For the first time. It come down. So I think that somebody who is living with obesity, especially if we're looking at they've been living like that for an extended period of time, you are increasing your risk for so many comorbidities, cardiovascular disease, other metabolic conditions, even cancer. So yeah, I think if you get someone to lose all the extra adipose tissue, you're cutting the risk for all of those other things. I think tirzepatide has also been studied for sleep apnea, which can be a mechanism of weight loss, but it's also been shown that even without weight loss, it's helping there. It lowers blood pressure. There's the new triple agonist that's coming out that also has been shown to increase energy expenditure as long as suppressing the appetite. So I think that people who take them should be working with a doctor, because there are side effects, and I think that your dosing needs to be managed carefully. I know a lot of people are trying to do it themselves.
Which I think these things, with how powerful they really are with weight loss, like that should be the intimidation on not doing it by yourself.
I would be scared. Like people who are, reconstituting their research peptides and injecting themselves.
Not only that, but you are somebody who knows a lot about this. And I've even talked to other people who like help monitor and like manage this for people.
Yeah.
They say they'd be scared to do it. It's like, no, but don't worry. I got ChatGPT for the last 45 minutes. I bet I can do it. It's like, the people who know this stuff are scared to.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not a
Scared to manage it
chemist.
themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not a chemist, and that's where I'm thinking like I could mess this up. I
Yeah.
could put something in me that I messed it up, and
Debatably permanently, because that's where my questions come in. Is like, what does 10 years from now look like?
Mhm.
You know, I mean, do you know, like, what does the friends of mine who have lost 20, 30, 60 pounds,
Mhm.
are they on this medication forever? They're 34.
Yeah. So I think a large portion of people who lose weight with the GLP-1 will probably have to be on them in some form for a long time, if not for life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because obviously the drug worked for them, but it doesn't work if you're not taking it.
Yeah.
So they actually just did, what was the study called? They did a study on tirzepatide, and it was actually a pretty robust study. I think they started with like 700 people, but they put people on tirzepatide for 36 weeks.
Okay.
And then at the 36-week mark, some of them went onto a placebo and the others stayed on tirzepatide. So I want to say that only like 17% of those on the placebo were able to maintain their weight loss.
What was that percentage again?
17.
So like essentially barely 1 in 5.
Yeah. So, and I think that, you know, with the little data we have,
Mm-hmm.
I think that is probably going to be relatively the way it works for the general population who is on it.
So what are your thoughts and concerns about that? Because in general, I don't like the idea of like someone going on this drug, losing the weight, and then just having to be on it forever.
Yeah.
Like that sucks.
Yeah. So, I mean, you could do a risk benefit, and we say, well, if you go off of it and you just go back to the weight you were that was unhealthy for whatever reason, we have some, I guess, in your mind, whatever long-term data might be. I think Ozempic was approved by the FDA in 2016, 17. So coming up on 10 years of people who have been taking it probably that entire time. I think that if we look at that cost benefit, at least with what we know now, it's going to be in the positive.
Do you feel like it's in the positive because it's helpful, or it's just preventing so much negative? Hopefully I asked that okay.
I think
like people are doing so bad with their health.
Yeah.
Some on their responsibility, some maybe not.
Sure.
I want to make sure I'm not like just attacking rudely, but we are where we are, right? 70% of Americans are overweight.
Yeah.
Some of it's their fault, some of it's not. It's a whole overall nuanced blend.
Right.
100% on that. Is it beneficial long-term to be on these medications purely because our environment has gotten so unhealthy, or is it because it's actually promoting health? I guess, is it promoting health and preventing death?
Well, the hope, especially as, you know, somebody who is into fitness, is that by getting someone into a more healthy body composition, they will be more encouraged to exercise and do other things like go hiking or running or riding bikes or do anything. You know, sometimes people are like, I don't enjoy this because it's so hard. So the hope is that it will encourage the weight loss, feeling better, probably sleeping better. Like all of these things is going to encourage them to then change their lifestyle outside of the food they're eating. I think that your other health benefits, you know, like the sleep apnea, the lower blood pressure, you can look at those things and say, well, I started taking tirzepatide and I was able to lose 15% of my body weight. I don't have to wear my CPAP machine at night anymore. And I went off my blood pressure medication. So is, you know, that so bad? Let's assume long term, let's say 20 years down the line, tirzepatide has no long-lasting side effects, which so far we don't see like any kind of mechanism where that would potentially happen. That's not to say it's early days, but if 20 years down the line they're still taking whatever dosage of that, obviously it's costly, but assuming they're still taking it, but like we said earlier, they've added a decade to their life. Not only a decade, but a decade that they can actually enjoy.
And they're not on blood pressure medications. They're not potentially suffering from strokes, mini strokes, cardiovascular events, pulmonary embolisms, cancer.
Right.
All of these things that I think we all assume we won't be the one to get those, but that's what's killing people 50, 60, 70 years old.
Yeah.
So that's a really good point, because I think what I get unfortunately into is I just consider who I see in this office who I interact with outside of here, and I forget the rest of the population.
Yeah.
Right. I get very narrow-minded.
Well, and we even have had people, are ask if we're concerned about these drugs, because some people do see it as the easy button.
Mm-hmm.
So are people going to stop coming to the gym because they don't need to? Like, they're able, to be thin without exercising.
This episode of Heal Without Harm is brought to you by Compelled Fitness, your ultimate partner in Wichita for getting into the best shape of your life. Whether you're aiming for better health, reaching athletic goals, or simply improving your fitness, Compelled Fitness offers programs and services tailored to fit your needs. Don't settle for less than your best. Visit compelled-fitness.com today and start your transformation with expert guidance and personalized fitness. At Compelled Fitness, the goal is helping you become the best version of yourself.
But the reality is, I think if that's really the only purpose that people are taking them for, if, say they don't care about their health, they want to look good in their, jeans they wore in high school, they're not coming to the gym anyway. Like what we do here and what people do at gyms all over the city, the world, is not easy. You don't come in here like, I'm just going to phone it in every day and it'll be, it's hard. And so for people that are, for all intents and purposes, looking for the easy button, we weren't going to get them as a client anyway.
That's a good point.
So I think, if we're just looking at community health, I think that these drugs are going to be a benefit, especially to Americans who have struggled so much the last few decades with, the obesity epidemic.
I feel like people may go to the doctor and attempt to lose weight, but I feel like a lot of the times the conversation's never in the right place. That doctor either doesn't know, they don't have time, whatever it may be. And so if you had somebody that was based on their height, their age, their gender and everything, they should be 140 pounds. Like that's their healthy BMI. They're currently on 190. They've been there for a long time. They've always been a little fluffy is the words that they choose to use. They come to you. What do you feel like the first kind of plan of action should be? Where would you take this person? What path would you take them down for the first, 30 to 60 days?
Yeah. Well, my conversation, it always depends. So my conversation with them would always start with, what have we tried in the past? What worked for you? What didn't? What foods do you enjoy? What foods do you hate? Do you like to exercise? If so, what kind of exercise do you like? We would come up with some numbers. I encourage, especially people who've never tracked their food before, I encourage them to track, because that can be very eye-opening for people who maybe don't realize where they're overeating, or by how much. And a lot of times you see people start tracking their food, immediately lose a few pounds just because they're like, well, I'm not going to eat that. Look how many cow eat.
I either don't want to write it down or I wasn't aware 2 tablespoons of peanut butter was 900 calories.
And then, as far as exercise goes, obviously I think CrossFit is great for general physical fitness. I think it's probably the best, but no matter what they enjoy, I would tell them, do resistance training at least 2 days a week, preferably more than that. Like you mentioned earlier, get your 150 minutes of moderate intensity cardiovascular exercise, preferably more, up to 300 if possible. And that can be kind of daunting for people. But if you break it down, if someone came to me and they hadn't exercised in years, then we could start with walking. Let's do a step goal every day, and they'll be surprised at how many minutes add up there. CrossFit, even though it is intense, those pieces tend to be relatively short. And I think some CrossFit members would be a little surprised with like 75 minutes a week. Like that's more than I get my 3 to 4 days of classes. So, you have to add some stuff in. And I think you start with just the goal of being more active than you are now, and then being more mindful with the eating than you are now. And then we just go from there.
I think on these, what I found in my perspective as a PT is one, I agree with you fully, just, hey, track your food. What I found is the more that I can get someone to discover things themselves as opposed to me telling them the information, the more they learn it and realize.
Yeah.
And I think just saying, can you write down everything you eat for the next 48 hours? Whether you go into MyFitnessPal and scan barcodes, use new AI apps where you just take pictures. Just take pictures, don't even track it. Just take a picture of everything you put in your mouth, and then when you get back, we'll write it down.
Yeah.
I found that's quite helpful. And just saying like, cool, you ate 3,900 calories, 100 grams of protein, this much fat. Here's the ideal number. I don't need you to swing for the fence and go all the way there, but do you see the differences here? You're over consuming by 1,700 calories. You're a desk worker, so you don't move around much. You go for a 10-minute walk with your dog after work. Do you see how this adds up?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, wow, yeah, that's a big difference. Cool. The other reframe that I've done lately is instead of saying, here's what you should do, I found it's what would make it easier for this to happen.
Mm-hmm.
To where for me, like I want to run in the morning, but I wake up in the morning, I'm like, no, I ain't doing this.
Yeah.
And so I found like I need to remove as many barriers as possible. So it's like I literally have to wake up, pee, put my contacts in, socks and shoes on, and I can walk out the door. It's sitting in all the right places. I've made it as easy as possible for me. And so like you said, it depends because you have to end up meeting that person where they are.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's, hey, do you have a friend that you could just go on a walk with?
Mm-hmm.
You start there, they get momentum, and then you add the next piece ultimately.
Yep. Or even, start by walking to the end of your block. And then once that is super easy, let's go around the block and stuff like that. So yeah, you don't want to make it so daunting that someone's like, I'm not even going to try.
Yeah.
But you also want to let them know, like, the goal here is for us to come up with a sustainable plan for you and, not get you from 190 to your 140 and then have you, fall back into your old routine.
Just return.
Yeah.
For sure. I was going to ask you to audit me. In the last 6 weeks, like I said, I'm down 16, 17 pounds. Currently, I'm eating about 18 to 1,900 calories a day. Average 140 to 160 grams of protein. That consists of 2 protein bars, some ultra-filtered milk, and then generally lean meats otherwise. I was at 194 on January 31st, and right now it's February 10th. And I'm hovering around 178, so I'm down about 16 pounds. At this pace, is this a healthy weight loss in general? You know what I look like, but is this a healthy speed of weight loss? Is that a good amount of calories? Am I going a little bit too fast? What would you say your audit on me right now is?
Yeah, well, knowing what you're doing, the 75 days, I think and knowing that you came into it knowing what you needed to do. So you were able to, like, day one, change what was, I think for most people, it's pretty fast, the weight loss.
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking at, for somebody who start out, I know you wanted to lose weight, but as lean as you were, I think that, slower would be more sustainable in the long run. Like I said, for what you're doing and knowing you, I wouldn't be worried about it. Obviously, you're hitting protein targets. That's a good, amount of protein you're having every day. And with your exercise, did you increase exercise?
Yeah, quite a bit. Not all of it is. So Saturdays and Sundays, I may go for a run, but it could just be a 45-minute walk.
Yeah.
I'm currently doing 7 workouts per week, 3 additional workouts that have to be outdoor. And sometimes the outdoor workout is literally just 45 minutes of walking.
Right.
Sometimes it's like 3 20-minute walks throughout the day that I count.
So it's not like you're coming from sedentary to...
Correct. I would say I went from 4 to 5 days a week to like 10 workouts a week.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think that the amount of weight loss that you've experienced so far makes sense based on what you're doing. And I would expect it'll slow down as you continue to lose weight. I think the 1,800, let's just say some days you eat 1,800, I think that's a pretty deep deficit for you. Just knowing how active knowing how active you are. So I would say that's probably not going to be sustainable. But yeah, I mean, like I said, knowing what your goal is right now and the way you're doing it, I think that's perfectly fine.
Do you generally like metabolic calculators online? They're usually a pretty good starting point for people? Like, how many calories should I eat in a day kind of thing?
Yeah, I think the NIH has a really good body weight calculator.
Okay.
And it can get pretty intuitive as far as, like, here's my current weight, here is my activity level, here's my goal, here's how long, or here's how much time I have to reach that. So it kind of surprises people because, obviously women have heard 1,200 calories a day.
Which is wild to me. I never knew that until I started working with women. That's actually pretty normal.
So
your average thin woman.
When I give a female this NIH calculator that says you should be eating, even 1,900 calories a day, they're like, I'm not doing that.
I had one gal, she's like, how am I supposed to eat that much? I'm like, put real peanut butter in your smoothie instead of PB2. Yeah. That's a great place to start. Like just use the real peanut butter.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I think people are surprised when they see like, well, it just doesn't make sense when they've been eating 1,200, 1,500 calories a day, and not seeing any results. And, not giving your body enough energy, it tends to find ways to conserve energy, and people don't realize
Very
that.
well.
Yeah. So, I don't know if you're a fidgeter. I tend to fidget.
For sure. Yeah.
So, I'll just sit here and bounce, or I've probably moved, 700 times since we've been sitting here. But if I'm in a calorie deficit, I would just sit here and I not even realize it, right?
One other piece, since I've been in a calorie deficit, I am cold all the time.
Yeah.
Like if I sit more than like 20 minutes, I'm cold, and that didn't used to be me. And I think that's another one too, because generally females, especially thin females, are always cold.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm curious if that's another piece of my body just being like, all right, start shutting lights off.
Yeah, it'd be like, let's
like
conserve this for some other,
So that's a real life experience I'm currently going through.
Yeah. Nope, makes sense.
Some hot topics to finish off. I could say hot. They're just fun questions. Is there anything else that you want to discuss, have questions on, or anything like that?
No, I don't think so.
Cool. So what is your favorite junk food?
Oh, I have so many.
Okay, list them off. One of them real quick. Sorry if I just jump in and take over. She uses protein shake type milk in her cereal, which makes it like a bit more nutritional.
I was going to say, you're considering that junk food? I was going way worse.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
That was I was like, that is genius, because now I can justify eating cereal. But again, back to it's really hard to not eat the whole box.
Oh, I measure my cereal.
I have been lately.
Yeah.
To where, so that I can make it fit.
It is kind of sad. Like a serving of peanut butter is sad the first time you see it. A serving of cereal is pretty sad.
Rice Chex is actually 1 1/3 cups per serving.
Nice.
And if you put it in your daughter's little bowl and you eat with her spoon, there's so many bites and the bowl looks really full.
We should all have little forks. And,
we should just shrink.
It's funny. I mentioned earlier I had protein pancakes for breakfast. I cut, so I do a stack of 3. I separate them and I cut each one into bites. So it takes me a while to eat 3 pancakes, but it's like, it feels more fulfilling.
100%.
Yeah.
Popcorn has been a stack of mine lately, because you can eat 3 to 3.5 cups depending on which one you get. And I'm like, I'm going to make a rule where I have to eat 1 kernel at a time.
Yeah.
So where then I get to eat for the next 10 minutes instead of 3 bites. Throwing them down. All right, back to the question.
No,
what is your favorite junk food?
I think I'd have to say a Big Mac from McDonald's.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Fully loaded, or do you take some stuff off?
Oh, no, it all goes.
All of it?
Yeah.
What about road trip snack? You get $10 to, we'll say unlimited dollars because things are expensive now. But at the gas station, about to go on a 4-hour road trip. What are you grabbing?
Peanut M&Ms.
What about peanut butter M&Ms?
I don't know. I don't hate them. Okay. Obviously, they're delicious, but maybe I just like the texture. Yeah, the peanuts and
the peanut butter M&Ms easily became my favorite, because it was like a Reese's Pieces, but better, because you actually had chocolate and peanut butter in one. And once you start getting used to not sweet foods, you realize Reese's Pieces are peanut butter flavored sugar. They're so sweet.
Yeah. Ultimately. It's funny you say road trip snack, because I'll go back to my husband and I, how we're different is we'll go on, say, a 4-hour, 3-hour road trip, and I'm like, stop a quick trip. I'm going to go get a snack. And I eat, I don't eat the whole thing of M&Ms on the way, but I'll eat some of them. And I'm like, you need it? He's like, no, I don't need.
That's why
we're going to be there in 3 hours. We don't have to eat in between.
See, you said you may not eat them all. I have to make sure to get appropriate size, because I will plow all of them before I get out of Wichita. So I have to pace myself.
I think I am lucky. I do have the food noise, and I'm constantly like, ooh, I could eat a snack. But for some reason, it's easier for me not to overconsume. And this drives Alan nuts. You've seen it on my desk. My kids, it drives them crazy. I'll eat half of something, and then I'll fold it, and I save it.
My wife will do the same thing. She'll be like, we'll save that for later. It'll be we'll have a 6-ounce steak. Let's say I put 6 ounces on our plate, which is way too much for her, she would say. She will have 2 bites left. She's like, I'm going to save this for later. Or she'll be like, here, you eat these 2. And I'm like, there's 2 bites.
Yeah.
I was like, I can eat that and go back to what I was eating. What in the world? So she's very similar to you.
The kids open the pantry, and if they see something half gone, they're like, that's mom's. And I'm like, they say, why didn't you eat the whole thing? I said, I didn't need the whole thing. I just needed a little bite, and now I'm good.
And I think this is the other reason that I'm struggle with being a little bit more weight than I want to be at times. It's this weird compulsion or obligation to finish it, especially with my daughters. And it's not even because I don't want to waste food. It's I'll finish that. And it's literally finishing their 3 plates. My 2 daughters and wives will add an additional 500 calories at times. And I'm like, maybe I should be more willing to just be like, okay, that's fine, and
Yeah.
just say no. And so anyway, there's a lot of self-reflection through weight loss is
Yeah.
what I've observed.
I do tend to get pushback from people when I say, you don't have to clean your plate. Like, they won't take you to jail if you don't clean your plate.
One thing that really helped me, my brother-in-law, he's lost 35 pounds. He essentially went from like skinny fat to like actually fit ultimately. And this was so simple. And I told him, I'm like, I'm annoyed how helpful this was. He goes, when I go buy food at like Wendy's or some sort of fast food or like quick type thing, he's like, I changed my perspective. Instead of I bought this food, I need to eat it. And I changed it to I paid Wendy's to make me feel full or to like satisfy my hunger. And to where then it gave him permission to eat 3/4 the burger, half the fries and half the drink and throw the rest away.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, I bought all this, I'm eating all of it.
Yeah.
And that was very helpful for him and very helpful for me. And so hopefully that's a little token of information for you guys. Last thing, what's the most fun activity for you and your family for exercise?
Oh, man.
Let's say it's warm outside.
Yeah. Because I walk my dog every morning, no matter what. This time of year, it's not fun. Well, it's usually not fun anyway because he is always hunting and trying to rip my shoulder off. But we play a lot of Top Golf. We've even done that this winter a couple times. Colin plays tennis, so we'll go play tennis. That's really fun. Not so easy on the knees these days for me, but we've played basketball. Really, whatever the kids are down for is kind
Sounds
of
good.
what we're doing. Yeah. So,
Becky, if someone wants to come work with you, how can they get in contact?
Easiest way would be email. Becky at CrossFitCompelled.com, or they can hit us up on any of our socials. Facebook is Compelled Fitness, Instagram Compelled_Fitness. I get all those messages. So
Perfect.
Yep.
I'll put them all down below so people just have to click buttons and say, hi, I want to be healthier. Help me.
We can do it.
Send that to you.
We can help.
Becky, thank you for coming on. And hopefully today you learned a little bit more how to heal without harm.